So you've been using functions your whole life. Ever since you were first a baby, you came out and you're just doing this with all your limbs. That's like just mashing on the keyboard's controls and just seeing what happens. And maybe you as a poor baby, your nose was itchy, but you couldn't work your hands to itch your nose. You were struggling and maybe you can control a bicep because, every action in muscles is just two antagonistic muscles working against each other. So you were able to contract this one. All of a sudden your hand shut up and you were like, oh, I was so close to my nose. Maybe if I go up like this and then contract another muscle up here and relax that one, and then I hit myself in the face. Okay, but it was sort of satisfying for scratching my nose. And then I try and repeat that and I get it wrong the next time and I keep trying. And eventually I figure out the lines of instructions up, down, across, back, forth, like this, and satisfied. So maybe the fifth time your hand is trying to do these repeated series of itch nose maneuvers, your brain goes, oh, here, can we just save this? Because we're using this all the time. And so what your brain does, it goes def and define a function, and let's call the function itch nose. And anytime it's doing its thing, it goes, oh, my nose is itchy. I'm just going to run that function. I'm just going to go itch nose, bracket, bracket, as they do in programming. So your hand just goes up and itches your nose because it just repeats all of the movements in that list. So it saves your brain a bit of space, and in coding, it saves you 300 pages of repeating the same thing and again and again and again. When you go to pick up a cup of tea, you don't have to go up, over. It's like one of those machines with the teddy bears. It's not like that. You've done it so many times, your brain is just like, I'm just going to save it for the time I got it right and repeat the thing I got right. So now, as an adult, I can pick up a cup of coffee, but only because I've done this wrong so many times and you managed to put a bottle of milk all over your face. Well, you don't need functions in your program. If you don't use functions, your program's just going to go in a straight boring line. You can't hop around like you can with functions. Functions allow you to jump to different parts of your program. You could make a menu system for your robot. Let's say you want to go to the motor, then the light menu, then the sound menu to control your rover. You could get all of your programs and make them one ginormous program with a main menu, allowing the user to choose which part of the program they would like to do. So let me show you how to use some functions. I've got a program here. It says a bunch of stuff at the start of it, just a printout. It gives you 4 options of where would you like to go. We've got the North Beach, South Beach, Village Takeaway, and the Thatched Cottage. To allow the user to choose one, I put in a choice variable, could be anything, piggy, whatever, equals an input. They type stuff in. This pops up to prompt them to type in something, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I chose 1, 2, 3, 4 so they wouldn't have to, write out North Beach and spell it wrong. If they choose 1, I want to say the North Beach is closed, and then I want to use this awesome game over thing, which I spend ages and ages and ages making this. Now, I also want to use this for option 2, maybe 3, so I could try putting that in there and also putting in for number 2 and maybe, but like my code is already getting very big here. So what I'm going to do is instead just make this guy here a function that I can call whenever I want, and it'll just go to here and print out just this little bit here. Okay, so to make it a function, I just type in def, which defines a function. I'm going to call this game over. Then I put 2 brackets like that and finish it off with a colon. Everything after the colon here, when I've indented it 1 over, that'll be my function. All I have to do here is just see this here. Whenever I want to use this function, call it. I don't have to do the def anymore. I just have to type in, and so print North Beach is closed, game over. Now, when I choose this option, it'll just display all of this in place of this little game over. So it's kind of like a shortcut. Option 2, I also want game over. Look how nice and neat this is compared to last time. The Village Takeaway is open. Great. So maybe I want to take them to a new part of the program now that gives them some options about the Village Takeaway, like what they want to order. So why don't I send them to the Village Takeaway function. So I've defined this yet, but we'll see. village take away, and we'll put like that. Now, it's going to look for this function, but I haven't defined it yet. So let's say I put down here, right near the end of the program, def village takeaway, and then I put down here, what would you like to order? So this function is now ready to go, and wherever it reads this, it'll hop down and do this function. Or will it? I've actually done something slightly wrong here on purpose to show you. Let me just play this program. Let's do the first thing to check that worked. So we said, if you go to the North Beach, type option 1, game over. Awesome. Let's do it again. Option 2, also game over. Looked perfect. Option 3, it should read the village takeaway function, but it says it's not defined, even though we did define it. Yeah. But don't forget, the computer still reads from top to bottom. It had never got to here to read this. So maybe it would be better if we cut this and put it up here at the top. If we put all of our definitions for our functions at the top, it's kind of like you're laying out the pieces of your jigsaw before you actually build the main piece here. You got to have them all ready to go. So now if you run it again and hit 3, there we go. It ran the function perfectly because it actually knew what we were talking about this time. And that's probably enough functions for now. Another time we'll talk about what those little brackets mean after the function and what we can put inside them to do even more cool things. But that's for another day. So why don't you now go and try and make a program with many different parts using functions?